Hello and welcome to Township Talk. I'm Brady McHale. My guest today is someone very familiar to our regular viewers here at LMTV and the residents of Lower Merion in general. I'm glad to welcome Director of Parks and Recreation, Donna Heller, to the show. Donna, good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We have a lot to get to. I think it's really important, though, that we begin about learning more about Parks and Rec and exactly what it is that you guys do. It's not all just in the name.
No, we absolutely get that question all the time, probably primarily when our parents asked us what we were going to study in college. But it's a lot of things. We do from finance all the way to, literally rolling balls out for people to play. We do a lot of maintenance and upkeep on various pieces of equipment. We do a lot of environmental things as far as planting trees, doing stream bank restorations, lots of different reforestation efforts, invasive removals within the park system, and a lot of activities as far as how programs are evolving. Something called cue ball, which is actually akin to like the Harry Potter Quidditch, activity that kids ride on brooms. Wasn't a thing, 10 years ago. So we keep up with trends, keep up with activities, try and look at the park system as a whole to see, what needs to evolve, develop, remain the same or be maintained.
Well, you certainly have your hands full, not just with that, but with the parks in total. 48 parks. I mean, we're talking almost 50 parks here in Lower Merion Township. You can't do it alone, although I'm sure you're capable of it. You have a team behind you. Can you tell us about your colleagues?
Absolutely. And I can't do it alone. They're actually the boots on the ground. They're the lifeline of the system. Directly under me, I have a recreation supervisor and a park supervisor, and they do the day-to-day operations. They supervise the staff underneath them. So we have a parks division that is encompassing 18 individuals, full-time individuals. Then we have some summer seasonal help that helps. On the recreation side, we're mostly seasonal part-time staff. We have office staff, and we also have staff over at the Ardmore Avenue Community Center. But in addition to those full-time staff, we have over, I believe it's right now we're at about just shy of 200 part-time seasonal staff. The main crux is the summertime with the various programs and playgrounds going on, but it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people to get things moving, keep things going, and kind of evolve through the programs and the various activities and maintenance responsibilities we have.
And it's all to benefit the residents of Lower Merion, which I think it's so impactful, the work that's being done. Just looking through the webpage, getting ready for today's interview, I noticed something, the Friends of Lower Merion Parks. Is that community-based? Or?
It absolutely is. It's a grassroots effort by community members. Could be started through a civic association, could be started just by an individual and a bunch of friends getting together to say, hey, I'd like to maintain a certain area of a park, whether it be a planting bed or even a township library, because we do have responsibilities for the grounds around the libraries. And a lot of the higher than, generally cutting grass and making sure weeding is done by volunteer groups where they, contribute their time, occasionally some of their money, but definitely their time to maintain plants, do weedings, introduce new native plants to various planting beds, kind of be additional boots on the ground above and beyond what our staff's able to do.
And how would a community member get involved with that? How are they able to sign up?
So there's probably a number of different ways on our website. We have a list of existing friends groups and their contact information. Most of them have websites where, it's like info at, where you could log in and contact them directly to find out when the next volunteer effort's going to be. If it's something that's not already existing, they can reach out to the department and we can kind of walk them through, hey, you could start with just adopting the park, do 4 volunteer efforts per year, and other people might see you doing those efforts and then want to jump on board with you, and that kind of is how you end up evolving into a full-fledged friends group. You just do, a quarterly volunteer effort until we get some more momentum or interest into the group to maintain the facility.
You mentioned pools earlier, as well as the Ardmore Avenue Recreation Center. There's a lot of different things that Parks and Rec does. One of the big things is the outdoor summer concert series. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? We're obviously in the heat of the summer, no pun intended.
Literally, yes. It's been a great series. So that also was a grassroots effort. Actually, David Broida, who used to be the director of Upper Merion's Parks and Recreation Department, started their Concert Under the Stars probably 20 years ago or more. When he retired, he was actually a Lower Merion resident, and he brought the idea to the department. Basically did not ask for any funding, figured he could do the sponsorship and get the artists, and he kind of started that as a grassroots effort and in cooperation with the township. So we had an agreement in place, insurance requirements, etc. But the actual operation, nuts and bolts of it, David put together. And recently he decided to step back a little bit from that, and we have a new company that's organizing that effort now and kind of taking it to another level that's the profession that they do. So it's one of those things that it's continuing to evolve, and I personally feel that it's evolving to the better.
And involvement, you were talking about the Quidditch earlier and some of the different children's games and programs. One thing that's very popular right now is pickleball. Are there pickleball opportunities here in Lower Merion Township?
Yes, absolutely. We actually introduced them. I want to say I believe it was last year in 2022. We were able to install dedicated pickleball courts at Wynwood Valley and Bala Avenue Playground. We also have a few overlays over our tennis courts where the pickleball court actually shares the same net as the tennis court. There is a difference in net height, which people need to adjust for, but the basic idea and the idea of getting out and getting exercise is still there. And if you can't make it to Wynwood Valley or Bala Avenue, you have an opportunity maybe a little closer to you at Vernon Young, General Wayne, Ashbridge, have those overlays. So there's some opportunities out there.
Opportunities as well as different locations depending on where the residents live, all throughout town, which I think is very helpful. It certainly goes without saying, as we are back into the somewhat of normalcy post-COVID, that during the COVID-19 pandemic, Parks and Recreation departments across the country were hindered a little bit. How did you and your team get through all of that, especially when it comes to interacting and having a lot of these programs that are face-to-face and sharing equipment? How did you guys handle that?
Yeah, it was a super interesting learning experience like the rest of the world. We did virtual. We started virtual exercise classes, down to chess club. Pretty much everything went online initially, and as we learned more about the pandemic, now endemic, it evolved, and we found now that we're kind of in the forward stage of things where some people really enjoy online. The convenience of it, the opportunity to do it remotely, is ideal for some. So we've continued some virtual opportunities along with the additional, coming back to the face-to-face and the physical human interactions.
And those virtual opportunities, are they available? Where would someone find a link, or is it invite-based? How does someone find it?
So on our website, it's actually lowermerionrec.com, has a listing of all of our programs. You can do a search by age or specific activity, whether it be chess or an exercise class, and you can find those opportunities there. It will list whether it's in person or virtual, and provide the opportunities to register right there.
And there's a lot of collaboration with, obviously, outside companies. You were discussing some of the other programming that comes in. There's also a lot of work that's being done here, and we were talking before we came on today about the Public Works Department and the great work that they do. Can you elaborate a little bit on the maintenance of the parks, as well as, who empties the trash cans, or we're going to talk about birthday parties after our break. Who cleans up after the birthdays, things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of collaboration between departments here. On the maintenance end of things, the Parks Division of Parks and Recreation, normally takes care of the general maintenance, the grass cutting, those types of things. But we do rely on refuse for our trash collection. So they do trash collection. In the summer months, they do it 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. Usually in the winter months, they may scale back a little bit, or we may adjust, locations of trash receptacles so that it's a little more convenient for park patrons to dispose of their waste, but also for the collection crew to collect it.
And speaking of waste, a very popular waste, especially around our parks, are animals and the dogs that are walked. Some parks do have the bags available. Can we talk a little bit about those who walk their dog on leash in our Lower Merion parks?
Absolutely. So our website, the Lower Merion Township website, has a list of where parks are allowed, or dogs are allowed in our parks, and where they're not. Where you mentioned the waste bags, where the waste bags are where dogs are allowed on leash. Typically, if there's a park that doesn't have waste bags in it, dogs aren't permitted into the interior of the park. It's usually where any kind of active recreation is going on. A playground, a ball field, tennis courts, those types of areas are usually off limits to dogs, more so because of people not understanding the dog reaction, fear of dogs. So the various activities might trigger something, so try to be a little cautious on that.
Well, it's very impressive all that you and your team does, and I still can't get over the fact that you manage almost 50 parks, and that's only part of your job. When we come back, we'll learn more about Donna's job, such as the Bike and Pedestrian Network, picnic and barbecues, and if you have a favorite park. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Township Talk. I'm Brady McHale, speaking with Donna Heller, the Director of Parks and Recreation. Before we jump back into things, I want to learn a little bit more about you. How did you get started with the Parks and Recreation Department?
Wow. When I went to college, like most college kids, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. Started in sports medicine. Quickly found out that playing a sport and doing lab hours would take 6 years, and I quickly changed my courses to Parks and Recreation Management. Finished that undergraduate and decided to continue on for a master's degree in administration, and initially landed a job in New Jersey, where I grew up, for a little city, and was the director there for a couple years. Opportunity arose here in Lower Merion in the late 90s, and I decided to pursue the recreation supervisor position. Always loved kind of engaging the community, figuring out various opportunities for sporting activities and leisure time activities, just being out in nature, hiking, trails, general environmental stuff, and it just, you got to kind of like what you do, because you're doing it for your life, I found my niche.
So it's safe to say that you're an outdoors person?
I am, yes.
What would be your go-to, your favorite outdoor activity?
It has evolved heavily over the years. I used to be quite into athletics. Basketball was probably my primary sport, although I would try literally anything. Kind of evolved into racket sports, tennis. Horrible at golf, but I enjoy being out there.
Makes two of us.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I love to sit on a beach on a nice sunny day, even a cloudy day. So, it really evolves, depends on the day. I either want to be engaged and active, or just kind of sit back, watch what's going on type of thing.
Well, it's exciting. It's a fun job, right? You're constantly, out and about, and if you get to play in some of these sports programs or something, that's got to be a lot of fun. Before the break, we were talking about dogs, and I think it's important that maybe we go back to that only because it can be a little bit of a sensitive topic in parks in particular. You had mentioned about dogs running. Some folks might not feel that safe. Are dogs allowed off-leash in any parks in Lower Merion Township?
Yeah, we actually have 2 off-leash dog locations, West Mill Creek and Rolling Hill. There's established hours at Rolling Hill for the off-leash trails, and that is to avoid that conflict of off-leash dogs and other hikers that may not want to engage with an off-leash dog. So we really encourage people to, learn the rules and then respect them and abide by them. There is a permit required, and you can get that information also from our Lower Merion Township website to sign up and get that permit.
If someone sees a dog off leash or, God forbid, a vicious dog, what do you recommend they do?
I recommend them calling 911. It goes straight to the county. They triage calls like any other department. They aren't going to take an officer off an urgent call to come to something that may be deemed less minor of an infraction, but it will get a response, and more of an immediate response than trying to reach out to the department during an off-hour time when you're not going to get a person until Monday morning on a weekend, or even a few hours if it's during the day. You will get in touch with a human, and they will direct your call into the appropriate channels. It's
very important to know. Switching gears a little bit, let's say that I'm looking to have a birthday party for one of my children. Can we have them in the parks?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we usually groups of 5 or more require a permit. It's not a hard and fast rule. It is written into our code, but it's not like we're hunting people down that are, oh, there's 5 of you, did you get a permit? But yeah, if you want to reserve a space to guarantee that, I have the picnic area from this time to this time, you can get a permit through our office. There's an application. It's 2-sided, very brief. Basically who, what, where, when, why type of questions, and you fill that out. There is a permit fee. It's different for residents and non-residents, and it changes year to year, but that's also posted on the website.
And what about barbecuing in the parks?
We allow it. So we have some parks that have built-in barbecues. Recommend you bring some tin foil with you to lay on top of the grills if you decide to use those. But you're also welcome to bring your own gas-powered propane grill with you to grill. You can also bring charcoal, but we find that people don't necessarily dispose of the charcoal appropriately. We have melted trash cans from time to time. So, it's those types of things. We prefer someone to bring a propane gas grill to utilize if they are going to bring a grill.
And bringing your own activities to the park. Can someone have a moon bounce at one of these birthday parties? Is that permitted?
Yeah. There's actually on the application. There's special requests. I think that's how the line reads. But we do ask for the moon bounce provider, and most of the companies around here are used to it. They provide a certificate of insurance, naming the township as additionally insured, and then it's fully acceptable to have the Moonbounce company come. We do not provide electricity, but the new Moonbounce people usually have the generators to operate the inflatable that they're bringing.
Well, that makes for a really good time in the park between the barbecuing and perhaps a Moonbounce. That sounds like a pretty fun birthday party.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of trails and different walking areas at some of our parks. One of the big ones is the Kinwood Heritage Trail. And there's a lot that goes on there. Can you tell us a little about maybe the folks at home who don't know about the Kinwood Heritage Trail? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's in Bala Kinwood. It runs from Belmont Avenue. It runs up towards the Manayunk S Bridge that spans the Schuylkill River and the Schuylkill Expressway. You can actually take that bridge over into Manayunk if you'd like.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and then you can wrap around. And currently the trail extends all the way up to Bala the Kinwood station in Bala Kinwood, and it ends there. There's a cafe, but we actually have some future plans to extend it all the way to City Avenue to the Bala station, and that's actually forthcoming. We hope to break ground sometime, late fall, early winter, and have that project wrap up probably sometime next spring.
That's really exciting. Is that through a partnership?
Yeah, we're actually working, we got a grant through DVRPC and PennDOT. It's a TAP grant, it's a transportation grant, to encourage people to take alternate types of transportation to get to various locations. So future expansion on the Philly side is to kind of connect into the city further. That's a project that's probably a few years off, maybe more than that. But at some point in time, we'll actually connect directly under City Avenue, where the Township line ends and City begins, to continue the trail straight into Philadelphia.
That's great. I mean, talk about expansion. There's a lot of different people that use the trail, whether they are cycling or walkers, and many different ages too. One thing I think that's important, and we should probably discuss, is about safety on the trail. If you're a walker and you have headphones in, being aware of your surroundings, but also with the cyclists who may be coming to and from or commuting to a different location. Are there any rules posted, or is there unknown rules about cycling or walking on a certain side?
So there are some signs posted. If you're cycling and there are also speed limit signs. I believe it's posted at, I think it's 10 or 15 miles an hour. Not that you have the speedometer on your bike,
right.
But I feel like most of the cyclists that are exceeding the speed limit know they're exceeding the speed limit, more because there's a grade on the trail. You can definitely feel it in both directions, depending on which direction you're going. Typically, walkers should stay on the soft surface path, which is the more dirt type surface. Understanding that walkers may use the firmer asphalt surface. Cyclists should call out that they're approaching to warn people. And people that are wearing headphones, like as you said, need to be aware of their environment, keep the volume low enough so that you can hear oncoming traffic in either direction. It's both for your physical safety as you're walking, but also be aware of your environment, especially if you're alone.
A lot of good information, Donna. And before we wrap up, hopefully the easiest question that I have for you all day. The Director of Parks and Recreation's favorite park in Lower Merion Township.
That's the worst, hardest question I've ever heard. It's like asking if you have a favorite child. But honestly, I don't, because each of our parks has such different opportunities provided. Different view sheds, different opportunities to participate. They're all very unique in my mind. And maybe because I'm a little more intimate with them all, that I see the nuances. Other people might say, yeah, they all have tennis courts, or they all have this. But they don't. They're all different. And if you spend some time in the system, I think you'd see that as well.
That's a pretty good answer. Covers it all. We actually have all of the parks. We have virtual parks on the website as well. So perhaps parents who want to take their child out, they can see the different, like you mentioned, different views of the parks on our website as well. Is there anything else before we wrap up?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I appreciate it.
Well, Donna, we have unfortunately run out of time, but a lot of information has been packed into the past couple of minutes, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. And I want to thank you too for tuning in. If you want to learn more information about anything that we spoke about today, you can check it all out on the Township's website, and the information specifically about recreation programs, check out lowermerionrec.com. Thank you for watching. I'm Brady McHale. Have a great day.